Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
You know, we just wanted to build upon that, continue to elevate Darlington as one of the iconic sports facilities in the country.
Anthony Marks was incredible offensively for us with so many big hits, and Mike Morrison, you know, what can I say about him?
Well, I think what you can say, Gary Gilmore, is that Mike Morrison pitched his heart out last night and gave you a chance to get to the national championship game tonight. That's exactly where Coastal Carolina is. That's right. If you're just joining us, you've been on Mars or Venus or somewhere else. Coastal Carolina fabulous run for Coastal Carolina in the baseball tournament through the regional, through the super regional, and now at the CWS. And you know what? You have to like their chances. Andrew Beckwith is slated to start tonight for Coastal Carolina on 4 days rest. So he should be ready to go. Don't know yet about Arizona's starter. Nathan Bannister, according to their coach last night after the game, he is available to pitch tonight. In fact, he said everybody is, except for those who pitched last night, of course, everybody is available to go tonight for Arizona. And I would imagine for Coastal Carolina, it's pretty much the same deal, except I wouldn't think they could get anything out of Morrison tonight after 103 pitches last night, 83 pitches a few nights before that. Maybe Bobby Holmes will be available for him if needed, but they're hoping I don't know, is it too much to ask to get 3 complete games in the World Series out of Andrew Beckwith? That would be Superman-like.
Well, he can do it. It's just the fact that you really want to have somebody there to close it out if you can. Obviously, the best thing is to get a lead early, so you know Beckwith can coast for a few innings and then bring in a guy to pitch the last couple of innings. You know, the interesting thing is, before we left here last night, I said, well, you know, one of these teams have to catch a break or some gaffes have to happen. Well, and it did happen because Morrison, let's face it, Morrison was on the ropes. Everything was high. And then, you know, an interesting thing happened. Arizona decided not to win, but to play not to lose. And they started to do exotic things with the number 3 and 4 hitter and bunt. And boy, that played right into Morrison's hands. Then he got his sea legs, and then look out. Because as I said before, pitchers who pitch in extremely difficult or situations they're not comfortable with, they usually struggle early. He's used to coming in with the bases loaded, but it wasn't of his own doing. He was starting, and he had to get his sea legs of facing the fact that he was a starter. And then after they didn't score but 1 run in that first inning, I said, uh-oh.
All right, Coastal will be the visiting team tonight. They'll have a chance to jump on top early. When we come back, however, big day at Darlington. New president joining us here in a moment. And we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornblut, Professor Tom Hayes, and Carson Mason with you tonight from our studios in downtown Columbia. Big day at Darlington today. You know, last night, Dennis Worden, the PR director, was with us, and he let the cat out of the bag that they had decided on their new president for the track to replace Chip Weil, who is moving to Daytona. He kind of teased us with some information that it was somebody with local ties. Thought it would be another week or so before they formally announced it, but later in the evening, he notified me that they would have an announcement today, and they did, and it is none other than Kerry Tharp, former associate athletic director or assistant athletic director for media relations at USC, and since 2005, he has been working in a similar capacity for NASCAR, his official title with the NASCAR since 2005 was Senior Director of Racing Communications for NASCAR. Now he becomes the president at Darlington. We went down for the press conference today, and we're scheduled to hear live on the phone here from Kerry in just a few minutes. He is traveling, heading onto a plane up to Kentucky this evening. We're in the process of trying to hook up with him, and we'll try to get him on the program tonight. But congratulations to Kerry and his family. They've been living in Fort Mill since he joined NASCAR, and he's been traveling the country week by week, race by race for the most part. And now he gets a chance to run the show at Darlington and kind of build on the things that Chip Weil and the staff there have developed over the last 2.5 years.
Well, you know, it's interesting. A guy from Kentucky, you would think, yeah, probably he could lead a track, but you'd be thinking the track where four-legged animals run. But Kerry's, he's got NASCAR in his blood now. It's an interesting hire. I was kind of kicking myself this morning when word got out that it was going to be Kerry Tharp, because we were really teased that the guy had South Carolina ties, and knowing Kerry was from Kentucky, I flushed it because I was thinking somebody who was born and raised in South Carolina and should have thought of him from the start.
Yep. We'll try to reach him and get his thoughts here about his new position and what he has in mind for the future of Darlington Raceway. At the bottom of the hour, Clemson baseball coach Monty Lee will join us to break down tonight's CWS championship game. Cunning Gasquet will catch up with him in Omaha after the top of the hour. He tells me the rumor is that Arizona is going to start Bobby Dahlbeck tonight, but no official word on that from Arizona. They're once again going to delay their announcement on a starting pitcher to the last second, apparently. It will be Beckwith going tonight for Coastal Carolina. And then SC Wild tonight here on Sports Talk. Captain Billy Downer will be here in studio at 7:30. So get your questions about the great outdoors ready for him at 7:30. Now, last night, great win for Coastal. They took the lead in the 8th with 3 runs, broke a 2-2 tie to go up 5-2. Arizona came back, scored 2 runs, make it 5-4. But Bobby Holmes got out of the problem and stranded a couple of guys in the 8th inning, and then in the 9th they went down in order. He put them down in order in the 9th. No threat in the 9th inning, and so Coastal comes away with the victory. We'll hear from Coach Gilmore a little bit later on in the program. We'll play you some of his comments as well. Right now, though, we are waiting for Mr. Tharp to connect with us, because I'm told that he has called into us, but I don't see him. I don't see him standing by here on the phone bank, so we'll just wait here for just another moment or two until we get connected. In the meantime, I'll pass along a couple of other things of interest. Former USC basketball player Leimonis Hakafishis will play with the Dallas Mavericks Orlando Summer League team. That was announced by the team today. Last season, he averaged over 10 points per game. That Summer League begins in Orlando on July 2nd, so good luck to him. USC football announced today some incentives to enhance their football group ticket packages. For the first time, they say, group leaders and their attendees can now earn incentives depending on how many tickets they purchase for their group outing. So they are going to have things like Youth Football Day on October 22nd. That's for all local youth sports teams, grade 6 or below. Those tickets are $25 each. Let's see, October 22nd. Who are the Gamecocks playing October 22nd? You know off the top of your head?
No.
Let's see. Let's see who they're playing. I can promise you it's not anybody real good. Oh, yeah, Massachusetts.
Okay.
I could have figured that out.
The Minutemen.
So they'll be playing Massachusetts. You can get your tickets there, $25. October 22nd is also Faith and Family Day. And it's also Teacher Appreciation Day.
Okay.
So they're doing all they can to sell tickets for UMass. Scout Day is November 19th. That is open for the local Boy and Cub Scout groups. And $25 each is the package there for them. And, of course, for that game on November 19th, the Gamecocks will be playing none other than Western Carolina. So you're not getting a break on the SEC tickets. No, sir. But UMass and Western Carolina, they can get you in there at a good price. So they're trying to come up with ways to sell those tickets.
Well, the UMass, what they're paying them, I thought they would keep those tickets at the same. How much is UMass?
It's over $1 million, I believe.
I believe.
Yeah, they're getting a pretty sweet deal. The Newberry Hall of Fame has been announced for this year. Folks going into the Newberry College Hall of Fame included are Bryant Blanton, wrestling and football standout, David Horton in baseball. You know, he went to Newberry. Of course, he's the highly successful baseball coach at Bamberg Ehrhardt. 46 seasons at Bamberg Ehrhardt. He's coached 1,150 games, winning 889 of those games, and 14 state championships. And he was a pitcher at Newberry. He had a no-hitter in his career.
John McKissick of high school baseball in South Carolina.
Keith McAllister, our old friend Keith McAllister, two-sport athlete at Newberry, going into their Hall of Fame, football and baseball player. Outstanding football coach back in the day. Keith Porterfield, football player at Newberry back in the 90s, had about 3,500 career rushing yards. And the last person going in is Inga Wodi for women's soccer from 2004 to 2007. That's the Newberry Hall of Fame. All right. How about this? A Clemson graduate making a big gift to Clemson athletics. Michael Nairi, who received his degree in construction management at Clemson in architecture in '86, has pledged the 5th cornerstone gift to Clemson athletics. His gift of $2.5 million will go to the development of a new student-athlete academic and life skills enrichment area in the West Zone. Okay? An area. $2.5 million to go into an area for student-athlete academic and life skills enrichment. Okay. Oh, and there's an issue up at Clemson. This was in the Anderson paper. An investigation by the Office of Access and Equity at Clemson as hostile. Clemson launched a review into the program after allegations were made about the behavior of head coach J.T. Horton. A parent of a golfer told a university administrator back in February that his daughter was, quote, subjected to behavior and communication by Coach Horton causing a hostile environment to her, end quote. The parent raised concerns about Horton making physical contact with his daughter that was not sexual in nature but made her uncomfortable. Now, Horton told the paper, quote, there was no violation of any policy. My goal is always to bring the best out of my players, and we are looking forward to building on the success we have had, end of quote. He's been the coach there since 2011, but he has had some top players transfer out. Ashlyn Ramsey, who came to Clemson as the top-ranked female amateur in the world back in 2014, but she left after one season. Her father was quoted as saying, the golf program, the atmosphere created by the coaches just didn't make it possible for her to continue going to school there, end quote there. All right, we'll be right back in just a moment. Okay, a little bit more on this Clemson story that's in the Anderson newspaper. The person who's the director of Clemson's Office of Access and Equity, Jerry Knighton, he said that their investigation did not find behavior based on any of these factors that contributed to the issues being experienced on the team. That said, we did find that the majority of student athletes on the team expressed concerns and described the environment as hostile. End of that quote. Joe Gelbrith, Clemson Associate AD of Communications, in a statement to the paper said, early this spring, an issue regarding women's golf was brought to the attention of our athletic administration. We immediately forwarded the concern to the Office of Access and Equity, which conducted a thorough review of the situation and determined there was no violation of university or department policy. Following the review, the athletic department implemented suggested actions and is moving forward with those adjustments. End of the quote. When asked if Horton had been reprimanded, Gelbrith said the issues have been fully addressed with Horton. So after the investigation, Clemson decided to have one of two female associate ADs accompany the team on the remainder of its trips this past season. So anyway, the other
anything like what the guy that was kind of looking over Leggett's program for a while? What was that they had? Somebody, remember some list of suggestions they gave Jack Leggett?
Well, that was Dan Radakovich.
I know, but there was somebody that was added to the staff, wasn't it?
Well, he wanted to have a psychologist or psychiatrist.
Oh, okay. Sports psychologist.
Yeah, okay. Lauren Stevenson, who's a golfer in the Clemson program, the first women's golfer to qualify for the NCAA championships, she transferred out and went to Alabama. She told the paper that she decided Clemson, quote, just wasn't the right fit, end quote. So, I mean, it's women's golf and all that. It's not a high-profile sport by any means, but it's interesting that you have this investigation take place. Anderson paper picked up on it. And, when you have your top players like they've had leave the program, especially after a short amount of time, something obviously was uncomfortable for them there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they've addressed it. And here's another player mentioned in here. Riley Lavorne left the program in 2015 after one season and transferred to Anderson University. Lauren Salazar, who played 3 seasons and graduated in May, transferred to Maryland for her final season of eligibility. So, I mean, you got people jumping off the ship there left and right, and they looked into it and found that coach is not at fault here in any form or fashion to the point where they need to make any kind of a change.
Well, see, I hate to I'm reticent to comment because I don't know what their definition of hostile is.
Yeah,
because I know some coaches like to keep.
Well, if it were one,
edge.
Here's the only thing I would say: if it were one person, you might say it's a personal thing. But when you got, this number of top players leaving your program, you have to wonder what the heck is going on. We'll be back. More sports talk in a moment. Okay, we're back on Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. We will catch up with Kerry Tharp tomorrow night. We had some phone connection issues with him trying to reach us, and we trying to reach him as he's traveling through an airport. So we'll catch up with him tomorrow night. Meantime, right now, we're going to turn our attention back to the College World Series. It is the game tonight for all the marbles, a championship game. The best of three is down to one. And there are two teams left, Coastal Carolina and Arizona. What a CWS it's been. What a great run for Coastal and for Arizona. I don't think anybody thought we'd see those two standing at the end of the day. Let's get an expert's opinion on everything related to tonight's game. We welcome in Clemson head coach Monty Lee to Sports Talk. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Phil. How are you?
We're good. Thank you so much for taking time out to be with them. How did these two teams get to where they are tonight?
Well, it just shows you how great the college baseball game is right now. People would say there's a lot of parity in the game, but quite honestly, if you look at what these two teams have accomplished and you look at the level of talent that they have on the field, you look at the amount of success, and I can speak more on Coastal Carolina than I can Arizona, just because I'm much more familiar with their program.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Gilmore's had a top 25 level program year in and year out for over a decade. I mean, he has built a college baseball powerhouse at Coastal Carolina. He and his staff, Kevin Schnall, Drew Thomas, those guys do a great job of recruiting and developing talent. And it has some in-state kids. So it doesn't surprise me when you watch Coastal play. You look at the level of pitching that they have in Beckwith and Morrison and Holmes, out of the bullpen and Cunningham. They have some good arms, and positionally they can beat you with speed. They can beat you with the short game. They hit for power. They play very good defensively. It's not a surprise to me, but people say there's a lot of parity in the game. I just follow across the country and definitely right here in South Carolina.
No question about that. And in watching the World Series and seeing how these two teams have worked their way through it and through the losers bracket to get to this point. In fact, this is the 17th game of the World Series. They have maxed out the bracket. Every line is filled with a game. First time that's happened since they went to the best three championship series. What did you see? What have you seen in the two teams that, in your opinion, has propelled them to get to the championship game in terms of their on-the-field execution?
Well, I think that, both of these teams are kind of built for the ballpark. They're built on pitching and defense and playing the short game some and playing really, really good defense. These are teams that, they're not built on big physical power bats and big physical power pitchability oriented guys. They have speed and defense on the field, guys in the outfield that can cover a lot of ground. So I think they're two teams that are really well equipped for playing in a ballpark like Omaha has, and I think that's probably what I would say. Just looking at the two teams, is it kind of suits what they try to do.
One thing that Coach Gilmore has talked about, he talked about it last night, is his team's approach to playing every game and trying to remain loose and have fun. But this is the ultimate game, and for it all, as a coach, how would you go about keeping your guys loose and in the same kind of attitude that they played with throughout the season and they played with throughout the CWS to this point?
Well, I think a lot of us in this day and age, I think baseball coaches in general are spending a lot more time talking about, process over outcome. They're spending a lot more time talking about playing one pitch at a time, one game at a time. We're not as results oriented. And if you look at Arizona's program and Coastal's program, both programs kind of preach the same thing. I've heard both coaches talk about staying in the moment, playing pitch by pitch, inning by inning baseball, staying loose. I don't know if there's a looser team in Arizona in the country. Those guys have some serious dance moves, in the dugout. It's like I feel like I'm in a club, watching these guys. But but that's their identity. That's the type of culture they have within their team, and it works for them. And both teams are very loose. I know Coastal's got the shark, and they got the rally monkey going and all kind of crazy stuff in the dugout. That's just the way it is today. I think kids want to enjoy the process and not worry as much about the outcome. And I think it allows kids to compete without feeling that fear of failure and that pressure of the outcome and the repercussions if you don't win. And I think overall kids are playing better baseball because of it. It's been, the game hadn't changed in over 100 years. To play baseball, you got to be loose. I mean, it's really simple. But, as coaches, we're so outcome oriented sometimes, and we put a little too much pressure on our teams and our players. And I think in this day and age, kids are looser. They're more worried about the process than the outcome. And you're seeing that with, a lot of the stuff that goes on in the dugouts. And heck, people want to watch college baseball because of it. You want to cut the game on and see what they're doing in the dugout, how much fun the kids are having. And I think that's a good thing.
I listened to some of the guys last night, Morrison, after his performance, and he was talking about some of his teammates. Like, he said he was a walk-on when he got to Coastal Carolina. I think some of these other guys from South Carolina in particular who emerged as big-time players for them started out as walk-ons. How familiar are you from your recruiting days in South Carolina with guys like Morrison and Beckwith and Young and Woodall, those guys that make up the core of this team?
Oh, I'm very, very familiar with a lot of them because I've recruited a lot of them. I offered Beckwith at the College of Charleston. I thought he was going to be a star. I really did. He's what he's doing right now. He did in high school. He just wasn't as strong.
Mm-hmm.
He pitched underneath. He threw over top. He threw from 3 different arm slots. He had 3 pitches from 3 different arm slots. I recruited the Owings kid. Connor's brother Kyle pitched for me at the College of Charleston. Was one of the best relievers I ever coached, and I actually signed the oldest brother Chris, and he wound up getting drafted and signing a pro contract when I was at South Carolina. So I'm very familiar with that family. We recruited Connor at College of Charleston, and he chose to go to Coastal, and he's had a great career. Morrison, I'll be honest, Coastal did an unbelievable job of getting him because he was under-recruited. He was a kid in high school at Gilbert High School that he didn't throw exceptionally hard, but he threw strikes, and he had a really good breaking ball. And I think a lot of people just kind of looked at the velocity in high school and kind of passed on him, and they did a great job of signing him, and he's made a jump in velocity, and he's been a really, been a go-to guy for him. So, I think they do. Coastal does a great job of evaluating talent. They do a great job of getting them in and getting them stronger, bigger, faster, stronger, and developing their players. And, that's a testament to Coach Gilmore and his coaching staff. And, G.K. Young, heck, we all tried to get G.K. Young now.
Yeah.
I will say G.K. Young was a well-known commodity in the state. He just wasn't leaving Conway. He's Conway born and bred, and that's where he's going to live the rest of his life. I can assure you that. He had no ambitions of leaving Conway, and good for him. It's a hometown kid that stayed there, has had a great career. But we're very familiar with a lot of the kids that have went to Coastal. Tried to get a lot of them, and Coastal beat us to the punch and got them. But that's part of the game in recruiting. Clemson's going to get some guys. College of Charleston's going to get some. Coastal's going to get some. South Carolina's going to get some. And it just shows you how great the baseball is in the state of South Carolina. It's something that all of us should be proud of.
Absolutely. It's just, it's fantastic to have another team in our state in a situation to play for the national championship. I hope your summer is going great and you're enjoying maybe a little bit of a rest and some time with the family and friends. And thank you for joining us tonight to share your thoughts on tonight's game and talk in detail about the Coastal Carolina team. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime. Thanks for having me on as always, Phil.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate it. Monty Lee, the coach at Clemson, knows the Coastal Carolina team extremely well, has played them many times over the years, including this year at Clemson.
Well, he talks about the process, but the process has to be difficult because especially for the pitcher and the batter, I'm seeing strike zones all over the place. I mean, one night the umpire, low strike I'm getting. Next night the guy's calling the high strike. You have to really adjust in postseason play with this difference in umpire.
take a listen to some of the comments from Coastal coach Gary Gilmore following last night's 5-4 win over Arizona. We pick it up with his answer to a question about the performance of Mike Morrison.
Because the guy that was down there stretching was Beckwith, and I didn't want to, I didn't want to do that. Coach Tom, we kept talking about it every single pitch, and I'm going, I don't want to do it either. What are we going to do? I mean, honestly, we don't have anybody. We don't have anybody else, that has been in a game and forever that you could put in that situation. Just told him, so I said, somehow we got to ride Bobby out, because the last thing I want to do is do something to not allow Beckwith to to have a day's rest or whatever, because I knew if I had to use him tonight, then I'd completely eliminate him from tomorrow. So and at most he might have gone 10 or 15 pitches, and it just wasn't worth it. He stretched and stretched, and I know Drew called down there 2 or 3 times to make sure that, basically, unless the season was going to be completely over, would he come in and face one guy or whatever? But I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'd have let it happen. I just, we went into this knowing that the 2 guys that threw tonight, they had to get it done for us, and they did. And so, we scored just enough runs and hung on just long enough to get a win out of it. And, now we'll have to come back tomorrow and see if we can do it again.
Jim Callis from MLB.com. Gary, can you just talk a little bit about the resilience your team has shown throughout the playoffs? The whole Raleigh Regional, when you guys are 2 runs down and then you have to middle the rally, you have the rain delay, and you come back here. I think you've won 3 elimination games here, 4, I guess, 4 elimination games. And you go down early to Arizona. Their formula has been get ahead early and just ride it out. And you guys battled through adversity the whole night and pulled out another win.
Yeah, it wasn't wasn't a whole lot of pretty at bats at times. Ginkle pretty much handled us pretty well the majority of the time. We got fortunate there towards the end of the game in that 8th inning, and we were able to do some things. But I thought he was good. We were caught in between. It's like we were late on the fastball, early on the front foot on the breaking ball, and just some reason just weren't picking up the stuff that he did. But, the kids just, we held on to that lead, and then we surrendered it until a tie game there. It's 2-2. And, it was frustrating trying to figure out what to do, and then we were fortunate to score those runs. But the resiliency of this team, it just comes from the combination of all the individuals that are doing stuff. It's not one guy. And as much as Mike is on one end, Anthony Marks is that spark plug guy on the other end. Heck, he got 3 huge hits for us today. He was on the base all the time, and Mikey Paez, that poor kid, he hammers that ball yesterday that, I don't know how the part that ball's to left today that, I don't know, right into what wind or was. I thought that too. So, I thought he hit the ball well. And, GK Young, that was a big hit there with the infield drawn in there in the 8th inning and stuff. So, it's just been a combination of guys just, they just, I don't know, they just keep believing that this is their destiny.
Jason Patterson, I own the College World Series. Coach, in less than 24 hours, you'll play a winner-take-all game for the national championship. What in your mind does it look like across the time between here and there? What do you say? What do you do to get this team ready for the biggest game of their life?
Try to make it not be that, to be very honest with you. And try to keep that part, already told them, I'm going to be the first one off the bus. I'm going to go in that hotel and tell parents and all these crazy people staying at our place that they're going to bed at a certain time. And, they're not going to watch replays of themselves and all that mess. Because, it is a big game. Again, if you make it bigger than life, then, we've not done that through this entire thing. It's just, I keep telling them every time we meet, hey, it's just another ball game. It's just a baseball game. We have to play and execute. And, if we make it bigger than life, then, I think I think Bobby got the first time all year, or at least here in the last probably 2 months, I thought he got caught up there in the 8th inning. Just, he was out of sync. He wasn't taking any breaths. So you just slinging the ball all over the place, and thank goodness we got out of that. But, the bottom line is, honestly, if we can relax like we normally do and just make it be fun. I mean, they're going to have to throw it up there, and so are we, and we just have to see what happens. I don't want to, it's kind of like you see how people play in the Super Bowl and they make it so bigger than life, and you see people do, dumb things and play out of character. I just want us to play in character. If we can do that, we'll be fine. If, Arizona's a great team, so, it'll be a really good baseball game. I truly believe that.
All right, Gary Gilmore, and I messed up the opening there. He was not talking about Morrison's performance. He was talking about in the 8th inning when he had Beckwith in the bullpen thinking about the situation with Bobby Holmes. Back in a moment. And we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Coming up in the next hour, we'll go out to Omaha. Colin Gasquet will join us from TD Ameritrade Park one final time. Set the stage for us for Arizona and Coastal Carolina in the national championship game. We know Andrew Beckwith will go to the mound for Coastal Carolina, and if he can give them the kind of performance he has given them the previous 2 times out, they'll have an excellent chance to win this thing. And still waiting to see if we've got a starting pitcher yet announced for Arizona. Have not seen anything. Maybe Conan will have that for us when we catch him here in just a little bit. The recruiting news for tonight now. I've got some good stuff for you. First of all, receiver Ortre Smith of Wando finally released the top 5 schools that he will consider between now and his announcement on his birthday, September 11. The 5 in no order are USC, Clemson, North Carolina, Florida, and Georgia. He's been to all of those. He's been to USC and Clemson multiple times. Running back A.J. Davis of Lakeland, Florida, is a running back on the USC board. In fact, he has many offers, about 35. USC, Clemson, Auburn, Florida, Florida State, Ohio State, Tennessee, UCF, Texas, Georgia, Missouri, Oklahoma, Louisville, and Baylor have all offered. He's been to Clemson before. He plans to get to USC in July. He says the Gamecocks are recruiting him hard, and he likes the relationship that he has built with the coaches. He says they talk pretty much every other day. He says running backs coach Bobby Bentley likes that he runs hard every play, thinks he could be a good fit at USC. And he said the Gamecocks, if they keep up their interest in him, he's likely to do the same with them. when it comes time to shorten his list. He said Louisville, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and Missouri are some of the other schools who are in regular contact, even though Clemson offered a little while back, apparently no regular contact with the Tigers. He's been to Florida State for camp this month. He's also been to UCF. Defensive end Jordan Williams from Virginia Beach is going to announce August the 6th. He's cut Ohio State from his list. That leaves him with Clemson, Tennessee, Virginia, and Virginia Tech. He said Ohio State just lost contact with him, and if he's not talking to a school, he said he can't consider committing to them. He knows where he's going pretty much. He said he's about 95% certain about where he's going. And he said the place he thinks he's going, it just feels right. He said it just feels like the right thing to do. I'm going to go with my gut. I don't plan to second guess myself and go somewhere where I'm not happy. He will visit Clemson for the All-In Cookout coming up in July. That's the only other visit he has planned among the 4 remaining schools on his list. He's been to all the schools at least once already. But he's going to go to Clemson one more time, he said, to learn more about academics and talk more with the coaches and get a look at the dorms and things like that. And offensive lineman Andrew Thomas of Atlanta is going to announce his commitment at the opening in Oregon July 8 through 10. His 3 finalists are Clemson, Georgia, and Notre Dame. Top of the hour. We'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
We're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network coming up. We'll head out to Omaha. The latest from Colin Gaswood covering the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers and the Arizona Wildcats tonight, the national championship baseball game. Bottom of the hour, time for SC Wild. Once again here on Sports Talk. Those of you heading out to the lakes, maybe the ocean, maybe the mountains to do some fishing, some hunting of some sort, maybe something else in the great outdoors, camping. You need to know how to deal with things in the great outdoors like mosquitoes. We don't have those same mosquitoes around here that they have in Argentina, do we? They haven't made it this far.
You have some good sized mosquitoes. The one your grandparents used to say they take you out in the woods and bite you.
We will get to we'll find out from Captain Billy Downer just what he knows about the mosquito situation in South Carolina.
The only thing I don't like about a mosquito is if they fly near your ear. You hear that sucker buzzing all night in your eardrums because of the vibrating sound they make. I can't stand that.
Even after you've swatted it?
Yes. You can hear it because and you hear it all night long. By the way, some people are more delectable to mosquitoes than others.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Even if you have the off on, they'll try to bite you.
Even if you have the off on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another little
repellent, that is.
Another little recruiting note here just ran across. Robert Porcher IV.
Okay.
Who is out of Orlando, but he is the son of the former South Carolina State star, defensive lineman, Robert Porcher IV. His dad, Robert Porcher, South Carolina State star, played in the NFL, defensive end. He has committed to Nebraska. So neither USC nor Clemson really got that involved with him. I don't believe, never really ran across him that much on the recruiting trail, but he is committed to Nebraska.
Porcher was, an integral part of a good Detroit team that had a great pass rush, but they had no offense.
Yeah.
And that's been a problem with them for years. Now they have an offense and off and on defense.
Yeah, yeah. He was a terror at South Carolina State. And just another, at that time, another in a long line of outstanding defense produced by the Bulldogs program. Still don't have any word yet on a starting pitcher for Arizona. You would think they'd put it on their Twitter feed, but I guess they're going to keep it under wraps until they have to tell somebody who's going to go to the mound in the top of the first. Reminder that Coastal will be the visiting team tonight. So, and you might think, yeah, what's the big deal? Well, championship game, come down to that bottom of the ninth, getting those last 3 outs. If it's a one-run game or a tied game, getting those last 3 outs can be awfully difficult.
Coastal won last night, correct?
As the visiting team.
See what jerseys they were wearing? That's Chanticleer in the back. They may watch them and wear them again.
Why not? I would if I were them.
I think Arizona blinked last night. I think they're right for the taking.
Okay, we'll go to Omaha in a moment. Man, back Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network scored big with Founders Federal Credit Union. Founders has convenient office locations at USC and a new location coming to Clemson, plus ATMs on the campuses of Clemson, Converse, Limestone, PC, USC Lancaster, Winthrop, and York Tech. Visit foundersfcu.com for a full listing to find an ATM or office near you. Hey, if you're not a member, visit Relax. Join founders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA. Let's head out to Omaha. We welcome in, once again, one final time. This is it. No more games. Conan Gasquet, the sports director from TV13 WBTW in Myrtle Beach and Florence, joining us now. And checking the monitor and ESPN's pregame coverage, why are we seeing Cunningham being shown on television and walking around and stretching and stuff like that? Is he starting?
You know, I've been trying to find out for a little while here who the starter was. I haven't been able to find anything out so far. So I had been assuming that it was going to be Beckwith, although, I mean, he's coming off 4 days rest. And granted, that was a very, very long outing, 137 pitches that he threw last time. So maybe they just don't feel like he's ready yet. We talked to him last night, and he was saying that he did still have some soreness in his arm. Some of the coaches on the team were trying to work with him on that. So maybe they just feel like he's not in the best shape to go. I would think that if he were close, that would be the guy that they would want to go with, or at least a couple innings if he's able to go.
Yeah, and they still haven't posted the lineups yet either. So we're in the dark. How about Arizona? Have you heard anything more about a starter for them?
What I've heard, people kind of talking around here, is that they might go with Bobby Dalbec, who, of course, is a great position player for them as well, great at the plate, and he had a big game against Oklahoma State, the second of those two straight games that they had to beat the Cowboys in order to make the title series. He had an outstanding outing that night and went head-to-head with Thomas Hatch, who, is certainly one of the best pitchers in America, especially during the NCAA tournament. So for him to get a win like that in a position where the stakes were so high, I think that speaks to the kind of ability he has, should he be the guy.
All right. Now, weather-wise, from listening to the radio broadcast last night, they were talking about possible rain in Omaha early today and chance of thunderstorms tonight, 20, 30%, things of that nature. Did you guys have rain earlier today, and what's it like now moving forward?
It's been fine all day. So it was, when I was out there doing my live shots a little while ago, bright, sunny, hot, and humid, just like it's been the whole time. So far, so good. But I was looking at some things yesterday, and it looked like there was pretty much a chance of rain throughout the day. So as far as I can tell, right now it's okay, and hopefully it'll stay that way. Coastal Carolina, as far as they go, they've been through enough rain-related situations throughout the course of the tournament when you look back at what they were dealing with at NC State. So in a way, though, it almost figures that if they're going to win the national title, it'll be in a rain-delayed game.
Yeah.
Well, my gut feeling that it's Coastal's game tonight, Con, and I don't know what the buzz was like in the press box last night, but when Arizona had those runners on base right there at the top of the first inning, I thought they blanked. You got your hitter in full hole butting the baseball. I thought that played right into Coastal Carolina's hands. And then, of course, the pickoff from third, even though they did score one run, I thought Coastal was in good shape getting out of that inning early.
They really were. And that play where they got the runner at third, I was standing right behind the Coastal Carolina section, and those fans just went nuts. When they got the runner, when they were trying to squeeze him home, as you were referring to there. That was a huge play for Coastal, and for them to only give up one, just like in the first game. They had a situation in the first game, as you remember, where Arizona loaded the bases and had a big opportunity to put a lot of runs on the board, and Coastal was able to get out of it, and they did it again. I think to start off a game like that when you're in such a tight spot and to get, I think that really kind of shifted the momentum in Coastal's way. But to me, the big moment there for Coastal was when Anthony Marks got the big hit to give them that 2-1 lead. That to me is the moment when it really turned around in Coastal's favor, and it was just kind of a different atmosphere after they got that hit.
What about in the eighth? They go ahead, they score the 3 runs, they go up 5-2, and even the announcers on television, they were committing a cardinal sin. They were already starting to talk about a third game, a championship game.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Arizona comes roaring back, and they got Holmes on the ropes there. They got him on the ropes. They score a couple of runs, but he gets out of it. I think it was I want to say it was a pop-up to end the inning, stranded 2. And they showed, of course, Beckwith down in the bullpen, walking around, stretching a little bit, never throwing, but kind of had that in the back of the mind. What were you thinking as you were watching that unfold, and what did you think of the way Holmes came through it? And on top of that, from what you've heard, is Holmes at all available tonight?
I haven't heard any speculation about Holmes so far, and actually at that moment I was standing outside the stadium getting ready for the live shot. That was, getting pretty close to our 11 o'clock show, so I had to. At that time, I was getting my other guy to kind of relay me some messages about what was happening. But Bobby Holmes did say in the post game that he was kind of laughing about it. That he gave up a couple runs there and then held them off, and he was saying, I guess I'm just the kind of guy that plays a little bit better when I'm under pressure, when I got my back against the wall like that. And we've seen that a couple times from him, where he comes in and maybe gives up a run, and then he just locks it down after that. So he did just enough. I would think that if he's like I was saying about Beckwith, if he's anywhere close to being able to go, I would imagine that they're gonna, even if it's only an inning, maybe 2 innings, that they would try to get something out of him since he's been so good throughout the postseason.
Now you have been with this team a long, long time. I'm surprised they haven't given you a jersey and some cleats to go out there. And
they should,
because you've just been with them. It seems like forever. So this team extremely well. They've handled the pressure all along the way, as you mentioned, from Raleigh to Baton Rouge, now to Omaha. But this is the ultimate game. Will this team be able to deal with this particular moment and in perspective and approach it the way they have all the other 60 some odd games they've played this year?
I think they will. And I'd say it's been blown away this season by this team's attitude and mindset and the unflappable nature that they have, that they just don't let anything get to them. If you look back at the LSU series, you don't think of a Coastal Carolina going into a place like Baton Rouge for the first time and being able to handle that atmosphere. And then you look at Omaha facing off against Florida, who was probably the most talented team in the nation this year, and taking them down. It just seems like no matter what the circumstances are, they're able to handle it and nothing. And I think one thing that really speaks to that is after they lost the first game, they said that, they were even kind of joking around in the locker room that, hey, we never make it easy on ourselves anyway. So this is typical Coastal to lose the first game and have to win the next 2. So they said at that point, I guess we'll just have to take the long road this time. But they've been so good under pressure down the stretch this season and throughout the tournament that I have no concerns whatsoever about the mindset that they will have in this game.
Well, we can't thank you enough for being with us throughout the World Series, and many times have you joined us to update us on things with Coastal. We really appreciate it. Have a great game tonight and a great post-game report. We'll tell folks in the Florence and Myrtle Beach area to check you out on TV 13 tonight, along with the PD's most recognizable face, Bob Juback.
Bob Juback, of course. Well, I appreciate it. I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed talking to y'all, and it's been a fun run out here in Omaha.
Absolutely. Have a safe trip home. Hopefully there'll be no weather issues tonight, and you'll be able to pack up and get on back to South Carolina.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Conan Gasquet from TV 13 in Myrtle Beach, Florence.
Well, the best attitude to take in this game is this is the cherry on top. This is gravy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if any program in America has won the College World Series without winning it, it's Coastal. I mean, the publicity for the university, for these players, and for the state of South Carolina and the PD area, that's the kind of publicity you cannot buy. How much money you have.
Coming up after the bottom of the hour break, we go outdoors here in South Carolina. SC Wild Captain Billy Downer tells me he's got some news about deer season. That's going to be of a lot of interest to you deer hunters out there. So stay tuned for that. I think you'll have some things to say after you hear what he has to say. Coming up, SC Wild at the bottom of the hour. Now, whether you are a part of Gamecock Nation or you bleed Clemson Orange, everyone can agree on Founders Federal Credit Union. With a convenient location at the Russell House at USC and a new location on Highway 93 in Clemson coming soon, Founders is a sure fan favorite. Visit RelaxJoinFounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA. Still waiting to see the starting pitchers to be posted here, and still nothing yet. I don't know now if it's going to be Cunningham or Beckwith after seeing the shot of Cunningham. I mean, ESPN had their cameras on him, which kind of tips you off that maybe they know he's going to be Coastal starting pitcher. But, again, the lineups have yet to be posted. We'll let you know as soon as we see or hear something. You know, Coastal Carolina playing tonight becomes the fourth team in our state this year to play for a national championship. I mean, to get to that national championship point. Can you name the other three? Of course, Clemson football. They play for a national championship. Clemson football. Carson is saying USC golf. I don't think I've counted USC. I don't think I counted USC golf because they didn't get to the championship match. You know, they were just like in the tournament. But now I'm forgetting one of them. Another one was Limestone Lacrosse. They play for the national championship. Now Coastal's going to play for the national championship. And who was the fourth one? Maybe I was thinking of USC golf. No, not track and field. No. Who am I forgetting? Who else in our state played for a national? Oh, yes, Clemson men's soccer. That's it. Clemson football, Clemson men's soccer, Limestone lacrosse, and Coastal Carolina baseball, the four teams in our state this academic year who got to the point where they were playing in a competition to win the national championship. Not bad. Not bad for our state. Okay, coming up here at the bottom of the hour, after we come back from our break, Captain Billy Downer in studio after being away for a couple of weeks. He's back in all his glory. SC Wild right around the corner. We got some things regarding deer hunting you want to know about. Stay tuned for that. Plus, we just had, you might not be aware of this, we just had in our state the World Archery in-school tournament. The world, greatest archers in the world. We're in Myrtle Beach. We'll find out about that, too, coming up. If you want to join us, SC Wild, 800-956-7266. Be right back, SC Wild.
It's time to get wild with SC Wild. Everything hunting and fishing from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and your host, Phil Kornblut. SC Wild on Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
And welcome back into Sports Talk and our edition of SC Wild on this Wednesday night from downtown Columbia. We welcome back to our studios the captain, Billy Downer from yeah.
Good to be here.
Always a pleasure seeing you.
The same to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. What has been happening over the last couple of weeks out in the great outdoors since we last talked to you related to any significant news out there?
I'll be honest, I've been paying a lot of attention to the Chanticleers.
Oh, really?
I mean, yeah, I am definitely a fan.
Have you ever seen a Chanticleer, an actual Chanticleer rooster?
A Chanticleer rooster.
Yeah.
I'm impressed you knew what it was.
Of course.
I thought you were walking on one of that and didn't know what it was.
No. Of course I know what it is.
You know, I'm a chicken aficionado, of course.
This is true.
My egg layers, I've got some roosters, I got some bantams.
You're all into the world of chickens, huh?
That's correct.
Yeah. Hey, before we get into some things, how are we doing down along the beaches when it comes to sharks and shark bites? I saw some stories about up in North Carolina. Had a couple of incidents. I think I saw something down maybe in the Charleston area.
Well, you know it's Shark Week, first of all.
This is Shark Week.
Well, you know, it's Shark Week on Discovery, so
Right.
everybody's watching. My
Everybody's
wife's at
freaking
home.
out. Okay.
If we're not watching the Chanticleers right now, we're watching Shark Week.
Yeah.
And then you've got this, you can go online. My daughter is infatuated with watching, I can't remember the name of the shark, Susie or something like that. She's off the shore of South Carolina, a 20-footer.
Wow.
Just keeps swimming. They've got a GPS tracker on her, and you could actually log on and watch these sharks where they're at. And there's one off our shoreline. I mean, they're there. You just didn't know it. Now you got a tracker on one, you know they're there. So it makes you a little nervous when you see this big,
Yes.
this great white is off there patrolling, looking for food.
Yes.
But again, in the over the long haul, when you compare shark attacks to humans, what they eat humans, when they actually, well, I said eat humans, that's bad.
Yeah.
When they attack or bite a human being,
Yeah.
there's so few of those in relation to the entire population and of sharks that are out there. It's really, I mean, I don't want to be the guy that gets bit. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Don't tell that to the person who's out there.
Exactly. Nobody
Because
wants
I'm
to
going
be
to
the
tell you
one
right
to
now, you know, like all of us here in South Carolina, or most of us, or many of us, I've been going to the beach for my entire life and hardly ever gave a second thought about going into the beach, into the ocean, and going way out.
Absolutely love the water.
But I don't
I
do
love
it. I don't go out anymore much beyond.
Why?
Because I am fearful of sharks.
So-
I'm telling you, I don't like going
So you
out.
get out. How deep do you go? Ankle deep?
Not much more than that. I like to just stand there.
You
and
don't
let
get
the-
waist deep, because if you're waist deep, you're in bull shark territory.
I'm
They're
not
in bull.
going. I'm telling you. Call me a chicken. Call me a Chanticleer. Call me what you want.
Chanticleer's not a chicken, but you, sir,
Yes.
are a chicken. If you don't go out in the water, of the ocean,
Come on. I am not comfortable
But,
anymore.
I mean, I'll be honest. I don't want to get stung. But you know,
That's
the
the other
ocean's
thing.
full of things
You
that
know,
bite
I'm
and
not
sting.
interested in meeting up with any sort of
Jellyfish?
swordfish or jellyfish. or anything.
Swordfish. The jellyfish and jellyfish generally the season for jellyfish usually gets worse as you get toward August.
Mhm.
Is what in my history.
But I see those suckers floating by, and they're just.
That's right.
They want to, you know.
They want
they
come
want to
get
put.
you.
They want to put those tentacles right in you.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No,
I've seen
they
people
don't.
pick them up.
Yeah, you can pick up the top.
Not this
But
boy.
underneath.
Ain't
you
no
won't-
way. Ain't no
I
way.
remember the old pieces of meat on the skin back when I was young. That's what
Yeah.
we used to do way back. So
When you got stung, put
That's right.
pieces of meat on it.
put a piece of meat on it.
Yeah. So you
Forget
go,
eat-
when you
forget
so
eating
you
steak.
go to the ocean and you just
I dive in.
You
I
dive-
love it. Body surf. I
Mhm.
love it.
and you don't you
When I
don't
grew
look
up, my dad would
do
get
you
out
eat,
100
let me ask you
yards
this. Okay, fine. You're a
Okay.
tough guy. I give it to you.
All right,
Okay.
got it.
But you cannot tell me you don't kind of check around and look around just to make sure
You
there's
always
nothing.
have to be aware, Phil.
Yeah.
Always be aware of your surroundings. Look
Mhm.
out there. I mean, not that the persons don't get a little nervous when they see a porpoise come up.
Yeah.
You know, a bottlenose dolphin comes offshore. Whoa, what was that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, sure.
But we've had a good summer so far as
We've
far as
had a
that
good
goes.
summer.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know.
Have we been
any-
pretty safe along the beaches? Have we had any tragedies? Any
I don't
issues?
know of any, but that doesn't mean that you might have a minor. Again, a lot of times with shark bites, one of the things, particularly I was talking about bull sharks we have a lot of. Everybody thinks of great whites. They're thinking of jaws. But we have a lot of bull sharks there in our waterways and on the shoreline, and they feed in that turbulent water a lot of times. And they are one of those bite to investigate type things. They're going to bite what they see. The bull sharks are the ones that have been found with license plates inside their stomach, things like that, because they just
ate a car.
Well, but rings. I'm guilty of that. Go out there and you wear a ring, your wedding band, and they see a flash, and they bite for the flash, and they let go.
That attracts them? I'm taking mine off.
Yeah, flash. Yeah.
Take
your rings off when you get in the water.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I'm serious.
I'll put it this way. I am
more squeamish about going out there today than 5 years ago, 3 years ago, wherever the case may be.
Well, then the movies and Discovery Shark Week has got movies. It's
Shark Week's gotten. It's just the incidents.
You watch Shark Week, don't you?
I do not.
You could stand it.
I just don't think about it. I hadn't thought about watching.
You must think about it because you think about sharks an awful lot to not go out.
Well, I think about them because I read the stories of this guy in North Carolina gets bitten on the leg, or a guy up in North Myrtle Beach.
But the bite on the leg,
or the one in Folly Beach.
It wasn't that. I mean, again, I don't want to get bit, but he didn't lose his leg. He got a few stitches. I mean,
Yes.
I mean,
it's so easy. It's so easy. That's like, when you say somebody had a minor heart attack. Well, I mean, it's not minor to the person that had it.
Well, it's like a snake bite. I don't want to get bit by a snake.
Yeah, exactly. All right. On to other things. I'm glad we haven't had a major problem with that.
Sure.
Let's dive into this deer season
Why not?
deal and some new deer regulations, new deer hunting regulations. What's that all about?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, there was some new deer regulations. Our legislature passed new deer regulations. So that's true. That's happened. But there are no changes for this coming deer season. So all of our listeners out there that are deer hunters, there's no change this coming season. The changes will be in effect in July 1st, 2017. This is 2016. So another year before these changes. And that's on purpose because there are some changes that are going to happen. And giving the department time to prepare to educate folks before the season so they know about the changes. And so people's obvious action, well, what are the changes? Well, basically, essentially, you're going to see some changes in tagging requirements for deer. Currently, you only have to tag does if you have if it's not a doe day, which is a day that you can take an antlerless deer, which is the way we control population with deer. You have to go. You can purchase up to 4 antlerless deer tags for $5 each. Anybody can do that. Any resident, non-resident at this time, right now, can go do that. And you have to tag the deer on the days that aren't not antlerless deer days or doe day. We used to call doe days.
Doe day.
So that's going to change. There's going to be some new tagging requirements. So in the future, we're going to talk about tagging bucks. There's going to be some limits on bucks coming. Again, we're working through those details so we can be prepared to educate everyone so everybody knows what's going on.
Why are there limits?
Well, the limits, first of all, deer population.
Dropping? Is it dropping?
It is dropping in certain areas. Now, you talk to some farmers. We've had this discussion before. You're always going to find that guy that the deer everywhere. If the farmer's out there and they're eating any of his crop, they are, it's a bad thing. And I get that. Live in a farming community myself, I understand it. Got deer eating my corn now that we're trying to grow, and you can't grow corn if they're eating it. Cotton when it's young, beans, there's not a crop you can grow, peanuts, all the major crops that we grow in South Carolina that deer don't feed on. So if you get a too large a population area, certainly it can have an impact on your crops. And so we work with farmers through what we call depredation permits, which allow them to take deer out of season to control the population. Hunting season is how we control our deer herd in South Carolina for the most part. There are areas in our state that are low, that people aren't seeing the deer they used to see. Where I'm at, not so much, but I know some other areas where they aren't seeing deer like we used to. So the population goes up and down naturally, and there's different reasons. There's disease that comes in, and things like that. But after the break, we'll come back, and I'm going to talk about what the change is actually going to be.
Okay.
Remember, they don't start until 2017 in July.
All right, we'll be back. It is SC Wild here on Sports Talk. Captain Billy Downer in studio, 800-956-7266. If you have a question or comment, we'll be right back.
It's time to get wild with SC Wild. Everything hunting and fishing from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and your host, Phil Kornblut. SC Wild on Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Okay, back to Captain Downer in just a moment here at SC Wild, but Ryan Young from the Myrtle Beach Sun News has tweeted out the starting lineups tonight. It will be Alex Cunningham, right-hander, starting tonight for Coastal for 3.64 ERA. Rest of the Coastal lineup as normal. Arizona will start right-hander Bobby Dahlbeck, 11-5, 2.65 ERA. So there you go. Cunningham and Dahlbeck will be your starters tonight. Beckwith, if his arm's okay, if he's not having any pain or any discomfort, he'll be available to pitch tonight if needed. So there you go. The stage is set for the national championship game. What do you think?
Did Cunningham pitch versus TCU? Didn't he pitch TCU? Didn't he pitch in those games?
Yeah, pitched earlier in the World Series.
Wasn't he the one that had trouble though with TCU?
I'd have to go back and look.
I think he did. That's what I was just wondering because he had a little trouble. Arizona's a good hitting team.
Yes, they are.
And that scares me a little bit.
Yes, they are. I'll look that up while you're talking. Let's go to the next point you wanted to make.
Yep. Talk about the deer changes for a minute. Again, these do not go into effect till 2017, to the 2017 season. So it wasn't going to affect up to July of 2017. But what the seasons are basically is this. In the end of the day, the new legislation does this. All deer will be tagged. So all deer have to be tagged. There'll be a $5 limit for residents. Non-residents. So some changes in our non-resident rules, which is good. A lot of folks get upset about people coming from out of state and taking our deer. There's a little change in there, a little more restrictions on non-residents, but a $5 limit across the state, statewide. All residents, if you're a resident, next year, not this year, but next year, when you buy your big game permit, you will receive 3 free buck tags, just like the doe tags that you buy now. You would receive these free. You would also receive, in addition to that, 8 date-specific antlerless deer tags or doe tags that are also free. That would be date-specific. Basically, just like our doe days are now, these tags will be good for one day only. It's for does. All right, so bucks, you get 3 free tags that you can use anytime, and then you get restrictions, be an antler, a certain width or a certain number on one side. Working all that out. That's all worked out, but there'd be a $5 limit. You'll get 8 date specific doe tags. So 8 free date specific doe tags, and then you can still purchase the antlerless doe tags like you're doing. The total 17. But end of the day, all deer have to be tagged, which is good from a management standpoint, from a law enforcement standpoint, for our officers to be able to enforce limits, to know when people kill deer, where they kill them at. But the tags, all deer would have to be tagged, and then you'd have a real buck limit, $5 limit. So not drastic, but $5 limit.
The season this year begins when again?
Season begins, depends on what counties you're in. A lot of seasons begin August 15th.
Oh, okay.
A lot of our gun seasons in a lot of our lower part of the state. Around home where I'm at it's September 1st, around Clarin and Sumter County, but Orangeburg on down, it's August 15th through gun season.
Before we run out of time here in this segment, you want to touch on the World Archery In-School Tournament that was held in Myrtle Beach?
Sure. This past week, from Thursday through Sunday at Myrtle Beach, the Myrtle Beach Sports Complex, South Carolina hosted the National Archery in School Program World, as you said, tournament.
World.
And it was world. That was, we had youth from age 4 through the 12th grade from the United States, Canada, and Mongolia. There was your world. So, yes, took place in that tournament, as well as the International Bowhunter Organization, which is the IBO 3D Challenge. where they actually shot at 3D targets in addition to your round target.
Yeah.
Your normal, what they call bullseye targets.
Mm-hmm.
But the NASP World Tournament was a bullseye target course. We had high school, middle, and elementary age shooters from across the world compete from June 23rd to 26th. I think the final count was over 4,100 kids shot.
Wow.
Yes. For, again,
How do we do in state?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We had 2 young ladies, we can talk about a little bit more, but 2 young ladies from the state placed in the top 3 at World.
Wow. That's fantastic.
And one of them was from the home of the Coastal Chanticleers, Socastee area.
Well, they're from Conway.
Well, it's Horry County.
That is Horry County. But I don't think people in Socastee consider themselves to be from Conway and vice versa. We'll be right back. Wrap things up. SC Wild here on Sports Talk.
It's time to get wild with SC Wild. Everything hunting and fishing from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and your host, Phil Kornblut. SC Wild on Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
All right, last piece of little information leading up to the baseball game, just checking the 2 starting pitchers. Cunningham and Dahlbeck both pitched last on the 25th. And Cunningham threw 83 pitches in that victory for Coastal Carolina. And Dahlbeck came out of the bullpen in the win over Oklahoma State. His starter didn't go, but I think 1 out. And Dahlbeck came in the first and went 7 innings. He threw 102 pitches.
Wow.
So they both pitched last on the 25th. So 26, 27, 28. Today is the 29th.
Cunningham
right?
was the final. That was the final game with TCU. Then.
Right. So they both have 3 days rest.
Wow.
And one through 1983. 19 more pitches than the other one did.
Right.
You want to jump to the phones real quick here?
Yeah.
Quick question from Cockett. Cockett, quick question here for the captain, please.
How you doing, Captain? I just wanted to call and hope that our Coastal win tonight. But in all due respect, this is the wildlife I'm talking to.
Yep.
Yes,
that's it, Cockett.
Yes, wildlife.
Okay. Okay. What I was calling about is pretty much more about the how many alligators that we have in South Carolina. Because a lot of people don't realize that alligators is a really good delicacy, good chicken. I don't know. Maybe you might want to tell Phil Kornblum.
Tastes like chicken.
Hey, I cooked. Come on, Cocky. You don't remember I cooked for Phil?
Yeah, he brought some gator.
I brought it and cooked it fresh in here for Phil.
And he said, "Tastes like chicken." It sure does. Tastes like chicken.
Phil didn't say it. Phil, you didn't say it tastes like chicken.
No, I was told it tastes like chicken.
But yeah.
Then when I ate it, I said, "Tastes like chicken."
That's
By
not
the
too
way,
bad.
thank you, Cockett. Did you see the video of the fence climbing gator in Florida?
I have not seen that.
There's a
Look it up.
video of a gator climbing a
fence.
chain link fence. Yes.
A big one?
He looks to be about 7-8 feet, maybe,
Okay.
from
I'll
nose
check
to
that
tail.
out. I will
And
check that out.
He climbed the fence.
I'll check that out.
He got to the top. He threw himself over. There was a
threw himself over.
Yeah, he fell over.
Okay. Oh, he
Got-
fell.
Yeah, he got over
Got
the top. Looked like he
yeah.
threw himself over because there was a pond
Sure.
or there's a body of water on the other
Right.
side of that fence. He was getting to that water. He climbed the chain link fence.
Wow. Well, let me get a quick shout out.
Gators
here.
and sharks. Gators and sharks.
Little shout out quick to Riverly Weaver and Tabitha Way. Riverly is from Socastee, St. James High School.
Which is not Conway.
And Tabitha Way. They were the top 3 in the world. They actually tied with a 294 with 24 bullseyes. And after a shoot off, Riverly Weaver was second and Tabitha was third in the world.
Congratulations. We got nothing but winners in this state.
All right,
Dustin Johnson,
Absolutely.
Coastal Carolina baseball, Riverly Weaver, Tabitha Way, nothing but winners.
And Riverly Weaver is a part of the NASP All-Star team going to South Africa this next week.
Going after big game?
No, she's going for a tournament actually
okay.
there.
Okay.
Another All-Star World Tournament.
Thank you, Captain.
Enjoyed it.
We'd enjoyed it. I know you want to give a shout out to Coastal. We all wish Coastal
Absolutely.
the best
Want
of
the
luck
Shanta
tonight.
Clears to win tonight.
Bring
it
back the
home.
hardware. Absolutely. Thank you, Carson. Everybody have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.
We'll check out the Climbing Gator next week.